G'day folks, and welcome to Gormo's Shed. And this week we're just looking at a few little things that you may be able to knock up and use to make life a bit easier with your model railway. And the first thing we're going to look at really concerns the very start of your railway and laying out your track, especially the curves. And in my case here on Great Chesterford Junction, I laid out my track on a full-size track plan that I'd printed out. But that's quite a job and takes quite a lot of paper. But if you're on a smaller budget and you want to mark out some reasonable curves, you can use a thing called a trammel. And I made a trammel, which is basically a big compass, if you like. And what it is I've used a 39-inch ruler here, which is a metre actually, a 1 metre ruler. It's a metal ruler, and what it is you have a hole in one end where you can pin it to a pivot, nail it to a pivot, screw it to a pivot point, if you like, and then you drill holes through it. Now, as I say, it doesn't have to be a ruler, it could be a length of timber, it could be anything you've got. And then you drill holes through it at the radius that you want to use. And at the same time, if you've got a double track, you could drill your holes 2 inches apart and mark them out onto your baseboard. It makes life really easy, and it's a little bit fiddly to set up. If you're going for a particularly large radius and you've already got your baseboards made, you may need some sort of assistance by clamping some timber to the edge of the baseboard or whatever, so that you can get your pivot point far enough off the board to actually swing the trammel around. But that's a very handy, a very simple tool, and as I say, you could make it out of, I don't know, you can make it out of a strip of 25mm by, say, 1 metre, 3mm MDF. It's as simple as that. I mean, MDF would have flex in it, but so does this thing. And all you're doing is really, you're sliding a pencil along in the hole that you create to draw the radius. So yeah, that's a really handy tool, folks. And while we're on the subject of handy things to have, another thing I've got here is this is the little shunters pole I've made up. Now, it's just a bit of dowel. This is dowel that came out of a packet of craft dowels, and I thought I might use them for station platform canopies, the post for the canopy. But I thought, I haven't got all my coupling systems set up properly yet, so I thought, well, you know, for the times that I need to uncouple something and I haven't got my magnetic system set up, I thought I'll make myself a little shunters pole for the stuff that's not really set up yet. And all it is this bit of dowel. It's got a nail in the end. I drilled a hole into the end of it and then punched a panel pin into it, and then super glue and a magnet. And so I've used one of these rectangular magnets because I can spread it across two of the old metal couplings that you get on, say, Lima or Hornby wagons, and you just come down above the couplings and you can get both of them to lift. And you don't have to actually touch the coupling, but you can get them to lift, and then you can separate the coaches. or wagons or whatever it is. I better give you a quick demo on that, I suppose, so we'll have a look at that now. Okay folks, it's a bit tricky to film this one to get everything close enough, but I hope you can see this working. You can see how you just get close to the... These are old Hornby coaches, four-wheel coaches, and they've got the metal couplings, and because of the rectangular magnet you can get across the two of them at once. As I say, I'm sort of doing this blind here, but there we go. So that's that one, and obviously if you've got old mainline stuff with the plastic couplings, that pole is useless. So if you've got old mainline rolling stock, you can make up one of these. Now this is again a craft stick, a nice lolly stick, a paddle pop stick, but it's a really skinny one. You can get these from craft shops or $2 shops or whatever. These are about 12 millimeters wide, and they've got a lot of uses on model railways, and I haven't explored anywhere near any of the uses yet. I've also found that you can get them in about 25 mils, something like that, big wide ones. Anyway, so all we've done here, you know, you've probably all seen these sort of things before for uncoupling. It's just a bit of plastic here that you lift up under the drop down bars on the couplings, and it lifts them up. So this one is just made from the paddle pop stick, and this was a bit of plastic that I cut off one of those folders with clear sleeves in them for storing documents, etc. So it's just a bit of thin plastic, and that's the key to it, folks, is you don't want anything too thick. So the idea is that this just goes down under the bars, lift it up, and away you go. So that's the other alternative. I suppose if you wanted to, you could make one of these with the magnets on one end and this little duver on the other end. Entirely up to you, but there's no cost in this sort of thing. Very simple to make. Yeah. Okay, so we'll move on to the next item now. Okay, the next item, folks, probably only relates to railway modelers in Australia at this point in time. I don't know what's going on overseas with this particular product, but I got it from Aldi in Australia. So yeah, I'm sorry for anyone overseas. You might be able to get the same thing, I don't know. Anyway, you can check it out. And what it is this thing. This is a yoga mat. And it's about, what would that be, about 600 wide, and it's probably about 1800 long. I haven't actually rolled it right out, and I can't remember what it said on the label. But it was $4. $4 for this thing. And you can see it's not terribly thick. But when I looked at it in Aldi, if you have a look at the texture on this thing, I don't know, can you see that? I looked at that and I thought, that looks like paving, cobblestones, sets, something like that. And I thought, I wonder how that would go on my model railway. And so I bought myself this roll of this stuff. And the other thing with it is, if it didn't work out for cobblestones or whatever, you can cut out squares of this and maybe stick it on your bench, put it on your desk or whatever, and it wouldn't be a bad surface to work on because it's sort of grippy. You know, you could put stuff on there and save your table if you like. So it's got a couple of uses, and if it doesn't work out with the cobblestones, well that's what I'll be doing. So I've done some experiments with it, just quick ones. Hello, the place is falling apart. Don't worry about it, it was only the trammel. Oh well, things happen, don't they? Yeah, so what will I show you first? Yeah, first I did some experiments with the colour because it's got a bit of a shine to it, this stuff, and so I cut out a square and I just put it next to a piece of track on a bit of wood there. Can we get the light on that? That's the thing. Yeah, that's better. And it's got quite a nice texture to it. Now what I've done here is I've tried pastels on it. I've tried rubbing it over with a bit of wet and dry paper to sort of give it a rougher texture. I've tried a bit of acrylic on it, rubbing it into the grooves. I've even scored across each of the horizontal and vertical lines to sort of give it a bit more relief, and it looks like this. It's not bad. What I found though is because of its thickness, when you sit on top of a sleeper next to rail, it's just a tad too high. So I've turned it over and I've just lightly scored on the back of it, and there's this mesh in the middle. There's a mesh that's sandwiched in between these layers because it's the same on the front and the back. And so I've just scored on one side, and you can peel off half of the thickness. It's quite easy actually. It's a piece of cake to do it. And when you do that, it brings it down to nice and flush with the rail there. If we can just get it looking right in the light there. So that's going to work. I can make it work. And I tried a bit over where my engine shed is, down the centre of the track, and that looks alright. So I'll show you that, and then we'll move on from there. Yeah, folks, this is in its raw state. It's untouched. There's no colour added to it. This piece hasn't been roughed up or anything like that. And yeah, I'm still not 100% sure about it. I guess it's probably a bit over scale. But I thought, well, you know, once you get a piece beside it, hang on, I'll grab a bit. Okay, here's a piece here up beside it, and yeah, if you can sort of start blocking out the surrounds, you get an idea of what it's like. Yeah, so the jury's still slightly out on this one, but I think once it's coloured, you know, and you do the area back here as well, I think it'll look alright. And for $4, what's it matter? I think it would probably come up fairly easily as well if it needed to be scraped off, but that just depends on what sort of glue you're using as well. Yeah, as I say, the jury's still out on that one, but you know, you never know, it might work out alright. I'm willing to give it a go anyway. And the funny thing is, this is something to sort of bear in mind. When I was purchasing that yoga mat, we saw a family friend down in the store, and she came up to me and she said, "Oh, Brian, are you going to do some yoga?" I said, "No, I'm looking at this because I think it might make good cobblestones or something like that." I said, "I'm always looking at things with scale model eyes," and I think that's the thing, folks. You know, there's a lot of stuff out there in life that might be very handy for your model railway, but you've just got to analyse everything you look at and see what you could use it for. And I think a lot of you do that anyway. I know it's become compulsive for me. I sort of look at everything and think, can I use that for my railway? Well, anyway, this looks like it will be used. We'll see anyway. So that's just all my little tips for this week. And sorry, I've been a bit late the last couple of weeks, but hopefully I'll be back on track next week. So I'll see you then. Okay, cheers, Gormo.